the lessons I learned, the experiments I did on how to study, how to keep yourself motivated and whatever. I have done all that on myself. There was no one really to guide me. I've searched for videos on YouTube. I've seen certain things that do work and some things that don't for other people. So yeah, here's the complete guide on how to crack NEET. What kind of student are you? Are you an average student? Are you a topper? Are you a below average student or a complete dullard? Trust me, it does not matter. I mean, if you are a topper, good for you. You can do it for sure. But if you're an average student, if you're a below average student or even a dullard, you can also still do it. Do not feel discouraged. I mean, I consider myself to be an average student. I mean, I don't get the best marks in class. I've never got any position in school like the class leader or whatever those positions are. I'm pretty much a backbencher, to be honest. If you do want to become like a topper or get top marks in NEET, which you have to in order to get into a medical entrance exam, then there's certain things you can actually do to achieve your goal. There's no specific measure of intelligence. I mean, IQ tests and all, they do measure your intelligence, but they're not completely accurate. And I would not go to say that you're just dumb because you have a low IQ in your test or whatever. Your brain just works different. Everyone's brains are different, right? So what works best for you might not work best for someone else and vice versa. So it's up to you to figure out what does work best for you and how to actually utilize that and achieve your goals. So, time management and planning. Do you have good time management? Do you plan things accordingly and follow through with those plans? Well, me, I don't have it at all. I cannot manage time at all properly. I just do what I want whenever I feel like, and that's not really a proper thing to do for getting a seat in NEET. But I tried to manage my time countless and countless times again and again. But the thing is, well, I've tried a lot of things like writing down a timetable in my phone and trying to follow it and whatever, and planning out what I should study or what I should complete by the end of the day, things like that. But the thing I found best to work for me is, well, you have to actually plan. When I say that you have to plan, I mean spend time, spend an hour, spend 2 hours, spend a day on just planning how you're going to study, what you're going to complete that week or that month, even if you can, and just try your best to follow through with that and complete it, because that in the end will save you. At least try to follow through with that, because that's what's going to get you to your goal. And at the end of planning, you'll feel more confident, and that will give you more motive, and you'll actually have some clarity on what you're going to do and how you're going to complete it. Distractions like phones and TV shows, movies, whatever it is, going out with friends, sadly you have to reduce those because there is no choice. I mean, if you have incredible memory power and all, you can totally do that. But it's a waste of time. When it comes to cracking NEET, you need to just be focused and study. You have to reduce those, but I'm not saying completely. You can enjoy at certain times, but when you enjoy or have fun. But when you're studying, just study. That's it. Don't get distracted. Don't hold the phone while you're reading the NCERT, and don't watch a movie that your parents are watching beside you while you're trying to focus on reading. At the same time, you don't have to study 24/7. You don't have to read and eat at the same time and whatever. I've tried it, trust me. It does not help. Just study when you have to study and do everything else at their own times. Everything has its own time. So the second thing is, you have to know where you are. What is your self-analysis? Self-analysis is very important. You have to analyze yourself, how you're doing, how your friends are doing. I mean, don't get sucked into just comparing yourself with you and your friends, but you have to have an idea of how the question paper was of the week. I mean, there's weekend exams, right? I'm sure you attempt question papers, and your friends around you also probably do. So when you compare your answers, I mean your marks with them and yours, you should not compare and feel bad and just get sucked into that and feel horrible about it, because that's what's going to happen. Eventually you're just going to feel horrible about it. If your friends are getting higher marks than you or lower marks than you, it doesn't exactly matter individually, but just try to see everyone as a whole. how did they do in the exam? Why did they get so higher than you if the average is higher out of everyone than what you got? If try to see why it's lower than what you got. I mean, that kind of gives you a perspective on how the question paper actually was and how everybody treated it. And your ranking, your mark list, that does not matter, trust me. If you get first in your class, it does not matter. If you get last in your class, it does not matter. What matters is if you got better than what you got last exam, because that's the thing, right? You have to compete with your own self, your previous self, and you have to keep evolving and getting better and better and evaluating yourself. The best thing is that we're humans. We evolve, we learn from our mistakes, and every bit you write wrong is a mistake to learn from. I mean, if you do forget and write the same mistake again, feel bad about it, because next time, you're not going to do it for sure. You have to write the right answer. You have to know if you're improving or not. The way you're studying, is it good? Is it working for you? Have you gotten better marks over the past few exams? I mean, keep changing it up and trying to find out what works best for you. I mean, when you don't know where you are, you're lost. So if you're just going to stay stale and stagnant where you are, keep repeating the same things over and over again, the same mistakes, and not knowing where you are, how much you know in the syllabus, how much more you need to learn, how much more you need to perfect in that ocean of a syllabus, then you're just not going to reach your goal. So it's best to know where you are and keep evaluating yourself and how to keep improving. So the third thing is, know what's best for you to study. I mean, like, everybody is different. Everybody's minds are different. What works for you might not work for someone else, right? How someone reads might be a different way from how somebody else reads. How someone remembers as well. So everybody remembers and learns and studies in different ways. I mean, everybody has a different capacity and a different brain. So some people can just remember something the moment they hear it or the first time they read it. And some people need to read it over and over again. And some people need to write it down in order to remember it or recollect it. Some people need to see an actual video or a visual representation of it to remember it. So know what works best for you. Knowing the way that you study can actually help you, because you know more about yourself and you can utilize that and bring out the best in you. Do you know the number one thing that works for me? The number one best thing for me that helps is when I want to try and learn something or remember something that I just learned that's difficult to understand or to remember, is that I actually write it down as like a summary or the important points on like a short notes that I keep for practice, and actually kind of create like a summary of chapters book. Like, that really helped me. When you learn something over and over again, you tend to kind of get it stuck in your brain. I mean, for people like me at least, it helps, because if you think about something in 6th grade, maybe, I don't know, let's say maths, what is multiplication? What is the 2's table or something? You'd be able to say any multiplication or addition, whatever it is, now, right? But when you were first learning it when you were a kid, it was probably difficult for you to learn it. But now, after you've had so much experience with that, it tends to be normal for you and very easy. So even for me, it's the same thing. When I tend to learn something over and over again or revise it again and again in the NCERT, even topics which are easy for me, which I might forget, those topics tend to get imprinted in the brain then, and then you can recollect and remember them when you need it. It's a very normal thing to forget something after you've read it. There's certain people that won't, but I mean, just forget about it. You're you. I mean, it's completely normal to forget. So just try to keep remembering, try to keep practicing and keep on revising things, and write it down if you can, and use things like flowcharts and diagrams, and it will really help you. I can vouch for that. Utilize your classroom resources. I mean, are you going to a college? Are you going to an academy? Are you getting home tuition? Whatever it is, ask doubts. You cannot be scared to ask doubts, because your life basically depends on it, your career. So the thing is, I used to be kind of intimidated to ask doubts, because the teachers were so strict and they would kind of scold you for normal things. But just ignore all of that. I mean, what's important is you getting to know the subject and the topic and understand what it's about and remember it as well. And in order to do any of those things, you have to learn it first. And if you have any doubts in that without any mistakes, you have to learn it. Even if you are afraid, just ask after the class. I mean, that's the only solution you've got. So don't like just waste your time and say, I'm going to research about it later or look it up later. I mean, you're probably going to forget and you probably won't understand it as well as a person actually telling you and explaining it. And you can ask more doubts on it and you'll understand it more. So the thing is, just ask doubts. I mean, if you have any, ask them. Don't feel shy. So in my experience, the best class has less strength, or strength meaning the number of students in it. When there's only one teacher distributed to like 100 students, which is a lot, that one teacher can't kind of answer everybody's doubts and kind of, it just doesn't work, trust me. I mean, mostly the people in the first bench will get most of the attention and the care of the teachers, I guess, and they won't be able to understand that you can't understand the subject and things like that. I mean, teachers with less amount of students can understand the personal concerns of all of those students because there's such a small amount, and they can explain in the way that they will understand. And teachers do that. I mean, they kind of have to change the way they explain. I mean, some teachers, at least that I've seen, can actually kind of understand the way that you understand things and give it to you in that easiest way possible. So if you're considering a good college, I suggest, instead of going to these big corporate colleges where they just stuff you with like a ton of people with a single teacher or something, I would rather suggest a small academy type of thing where there's a single teacher, or you can express your concerns to and feel free to ask the teacher for certain facilities or doubts and whatnot. So I would suggest a small academy with a less amount of students. If necessary, you can join a tuition as well. And I don't mean the kind of tuition with a lot of students. I mean just a single teacher. I mean just a single teacher teaching you, and that's it. Because the gap between you and the teacher is basically the gap between you and understanding the subject. So it's best if you do be close with the teacher and kind of keep asking doubts, because that will make them enthusiastic about explaining it as well, and they will feel free and happy to teach you, and you will also be learning in that process. So if a teacher's span or range of how much personal attention he can give to like 100 students, if it's like too many students, each student will be getting a very small portion of that personal attention. And if you're just like one-on-one, or if there's a less strength of students, it's going to be better because each student will get more attention or more personal care, I guess. How do you study each subject? I mean, there's 4, right? Biology, physics, and chemistry. Okay, wait, there's 3. Biology, physics, and chemistry, but there's technically 4 because biology is divided into zoology and botany. So for the whole of biology, botany, and zoology, I would just suggest reading the NCRT. I mean, that's your Bible, right? So you keep reading it over and over again till you remember it, and if you're confident with that. There's also state syllabus books, which have more syllabus in them. I mean, a lot of extra knowledge, which they might or might not ask in the NEET. Most probably they won't, is what I've heard. But now that there's giving optional questions in NEET, they're probably going to ask more difficult questions. So the thing is, if you're in intermediate first year, second year, and not in long term, or your drop year to take another year and write NEET, if you're still in your first attempt, I suggest you at least take a glance or do study some lessons in this state syllabus books with more syllabus. Because see, if you're like studying this much, like a circle, then you'd probably remember a smaller circle in that. So that's the thing with state syllabus books. If you do read that much, you will be remembering like the amount of material that's in the NCRT. So that's what I found to be helpful for me. I was more confident mentally as well because I knew more than the subject, and I knew that I knew the main subject as well. If you can do that, otherwise just stick with NCRT lines. Every line is important and just read it. I mean, I didn't believe that at first, but eventually I learned that the NCRT is really the Bible for biology, and they're going to give most questions from that. And that does have the best way of explaining things and the more conceptual oriented information about the subject. And for biology also, you have to listen to classes very attentively. From my experience, I think listening to the classes already gives you a head start in reading. And there are certain things that you'll understand only in the class. While reading, you might not understand it and you might find it very difficult. I mean, then you have to ask it out at least to the teacher. So when you're listening in class, that problem won't be there while you're reading. And for chemistry, My least favorite subject, well, organic was very difficult for me at first. But when I wrote my teacher's notes, I mean, it just had most of the important things and whatever, like the named reactions and whatever the reactions were. I genuinely like despise reactions and remembering them and whatever. But when I had my teacher's notes and I wrote everything down, I was listening, it's very easy to forget the names of reactions, what they are, what the products and reactants are, what the catalysts are, and everything. But when you keep reading those over and over again and in your own notes, that tends to stick in your brain. In the end, what saved me was my notes. So even in inorganic, it's the same deal. You just keep reading your notes over and over again, whatever you wrote in class, and that helps you. The textbook is not as helpful as it seems. It's good for reading and getting some insight into it. Your notes is really your Bible in chemistry. In physical chemistry as well, I did have a notes. This specifically was with my tuition teacher. He explained physical chemistry very easily. And it's kind of like physics. You have to try and think it's easy because it really, in reality, it is. Learning all the models is more important. I mean, the models of how the questions could be. If you learn the models, you'll be able to do most questions. Physical chemistry shouldn't be that hard if you do know the models and the formulas and whatever. And finally, for a lot of people's biggest fear, physics. It's very difficult, right? A lot of people think that, but it's really not. I mean, trust me, I have seen certain teachers that make physics so easy for you to understand, so easy for you to learn and attempt any problem you can do. Physics is an illusion. It's not that hard. The main thing is if you learn the formulas and whatnot, if you listen in class, it's enough. If you go home and prepare your own formula book or write down the important formulas of each chapter wise, it's really helpful to just write down all the chapters, analyze which ones you're good at, and write down in those chapters what formulas and models that are there that are important for you and what you've seen in different exams. The amount of models that are there in physics are countless, but there are certain important models and important concepts that you have to be clear on in order to be confident, at least in the final. There will always be models and questions that you don't know, but forget about those, because the main thing is if you learn properly the models that you already have in your notes or whatever it is, then trust me, you'll be confident. If you write your own little summary book of all the chapters, you'll be very confident at the end. The problem with me was that I didn't finish physics completely. I mean, there were certain chapters in the end which I haven't actually attempted that many sums on before, and I was new to these topics as well. And I could not only understand them, I didn't have time because those are the last chapters. The teachers explain those at the very end of the year. In my experience, it's not a good idea to leave all the difficult things or the new things at the end. There were certain formulas and stuff in some of the chapters that I haven't actually learned yet that I jotted down into my formula book, and those really helped me in my MSET or EAP set exam, EPSET, whatever it's called. That I got the highest in all subjects in physics because I did really well in physics, and these formulas really helped me. This book was my Bible. It really helped me. These kinds of things give you a lot of confidence. This formula book that I made and whatnot, when you write it down and have it all organized like that, you have a certain clarity about what you have to study and what you do know already, and you'll have confidence. That's what matters. And that takes me to my last but not least. My most important tip is your mindset. That's the most important, because if you get demotivated, nobody can help you. If you be motivated the whole time, nobody can stop you. If you get bad marks in an exam, don't just feel bad and brood on that the whole day or whatever it is. I mean, if you get bad marks, then be excited. You're going to learn that, right? You're going to get home and then revise what you got wrong, or at least learn the concepts that you didn't learn before, and check in the exam paper what all you did wrong and what all you have to improve upon. If your friends all did better than you, then who cares? Because the only competition that you have to have is your previous self in your previous exams, because you have to see that improvement in yourself. And the most important thing is consistency. If your mind keeps wavering and you keep feeling down and not feeling like studying or whatever, then you're not going to achieve your goal. You have to keep yourself motivated to keep studying. And the way that helps me stay motivated when I do feel down is, or like when I can't do anything or I don't know what to do, is I either talk to my friends for help. There are certain friends that I had that really helped me and motivated me. And the most important thing to help me stay motivated was planning. I mean, just spending an hour itself or 2 hours on just writing down what your plan is for the week, what you'll try to complete. That in the end, after writing all that down and analyzing it, you will definitely have some kind of confidence and trust in yourself about how you're going to attempt this week's problems and this week's syllabus and whatever it is. Spend as much time as you want to plan, because that's what gives you that confidence in the end, and that's what gives you that goal-oriented small step at a time. And you cannot feel discouraged by anything or anyone, because you are you. I mean, everyone is different, right? And you have a lot of potential. You're not doing your best that you can. You can always do better. So just keep trying to do better. I mean, whether you get good marks or not, you will eventually get a better mark next time or the next time. I mean, this is a different exam. It's very seemingly impossible and it has a syllabus of an ocean. But small steps do go a long way, and in the end, it will all be worth it. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope you get to try some of the tips I've done or experiment by, trying different ways to study or writing down a plan or whatever, because if that helps you, then this was useful and I'll feel happy about that. I'm only making this video to help people that were in the same situation like me before, because trust me, I used to think NEET was impossible and that I would never ever get a seat. I mean, there were times like that when I was very down and demotivated and discouraged, and I just felt like I couldn't do it. I just felt like this was impossible and I don't know how anybody did it. But in the end, I did it. So I'm sure anybody else can do it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.